Sandbox. What is a sandbox? What does it do? And what are the advantages and limitations it has? Let's understand. First, what is sandbox? The term comes from software testing world. It refers to an isolated testing environment where users can run programs or open files without affecting the app, platform, or system on which they run. It allows for live testing of new products or services in a controlled environment. It also helps regulators to understand its ecosystem better. So this is sandbox. But now, how does it operate? How does it work? Well, an actual device is emulated. Emulation of the target operating system is also done, and then a virtualized environment is created. Usually a sandbox is on a virtual machine so that it has no access to physical resources, but it can still access the virtualized hardware. Now, how the Web 3.0 regulatory sandbox helps Telangana or other states in our country? The Telangana state is exploring the use cases of blockchain technology in areas like chit funds, real estate, and others. The blockchain technology can be used to tokenize an asset like real estate and enable people from varying parts of the country to invest in a plot or property, and with fractional investing concept at play. So how you can buy 0.00001 Bitcoin, you can also buy fraction of a property that you wish to purchase. Then heritage tokens or city coins can be built for investors to monetize it. Now, there are some limitations and advantages here as well. We'll begin with the advantages. Operating within the sandbox, the regulators, for example RBI in this case, can obtain first-hand empirical evidence on the benefits and risks of emerging technologies and their implications. I mean, when we talk about regulators, I mean, there are several different parties here, and then this can be state government or RBI. Innovators and fintech companies can improve their understanding of regulations that govern their offerings and shape their products accordingly. Additionally, if any issues arise during the sandbox time, companies can make necessary changes before they release the product to the general public. And now there are few limitations. I don't want to call these disadvantages. These are few limitations. The innovators may lose some flexibility and time in going through this entire process, which is regulatory sandbox process. And then case by case tailorized authorization and regulatory relaxation can involve time and some judgments on the way. Further, successful experiment still requires regulatory approvals to be permitted for wider application. And now we will open this to discussion with our guest. We have for now Manish Kumar. He's co-founder of RealX digital platform that enables everyone to buy, sell and gain from fractional ownership in properties. First of all, it's quite an interesting setup that you have, Mr. Manish. We want to begin by asking you about Sandbox and, you know, how is it operated? Of course, we explained it briefly in our explainer, but how is it actually operated or being operated in the case that we are talking about?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This is a fascinating stage of evolution, as I would call, in terms of crypto, that, you know, the states are coming up and they are opening up avenues for more, value specific DApps to come up, right, and more better, Web3 adoption. This is exactly what has been missing so far. In terms of the ecosystem buildup, the state being more reticent, etc. So I congratulate the Telangana state to really come up with the sandbox environment. Now back to the question, sandbox essentially is a set of regulatory framework that allows newer companies to come up with their products and solutions and launch it within some parameters which the regulator or whomsoever is the appropriate authority that created the sandbox has allowed for.
Sure.
So, for example, if I am a startup, I may want to be my company is in fractional ownership of real estate. So I may want to go to the in this case Telangana state, ask them for setting up, allowing me to legitimately issue these things. The state may ask me 20 questions about how are you doing, what are you doing. They may validate their own self, and they may come back and ask for the 5 or 7 things that they would need before they allow us in a limited framework. The limited framework, the kind of limitations that generally come up, for sandbox companies are you will only be able to allow to sell to a certain number of customers.
Okay.
So that the whole testing phase, as they call it, it's
Sure.
also regulatory testing, is limited to a certain scale.
We have another guest joining us here, Dileep Senberg as well, founder and CEO of Muffin Pay. And very warm welcome, Dileep. We're discussing Sandbox, and you're also a member of India Blockchain Forum. And of course, this forum, while this was being launched, Telangana government made this announcement. Now, what kind of cooperation we can expect, from central government and agencies like RBI when initiatives like these start?
First of all, Arun, thank you for having me here on your show. So I would like to explain a bit about Sandbox and how it really works, and how the government agencies like RBI or even central government agencies can help building the Sandbox and the future products around this. So I think first of all we need to understand that RBI is quite pro in the fintech space. They are experimenting the Sandbox, the similar kind of solution for the fintech space, and right now, a few weeks back, they have given the permission to one of the company for doing the remittance by using the blockchain technology. So I think on the similar note, the RBI is quite pro in the blockchain space, but yes, they are not okay with the crypto thing,
Sure.
where the assets are governed by the cryptos. But blockchain, yes, they are quite pro in that space. It will give a good opportunity for the entrepreneurs as well as the entire ecosystem to build the new product line.
Okay.
Especially, I think, as he mentioned about the real estate, or probably in the sector of art, basically. So I think I can give you the good use case about the art, basically. So India has got a rich artisans basically across the India, like even the small cities, villages. So I think we can take those art global by creating the NFTs. So I think that is going to be some significant part here.
Okay, we have with us Pankaj Diwan as well, co-founder India Blockchain Forum. A very warm welcome. Mr. Diwan, do you think this move will encourage other states to come up with similar kind of regulatory sandbox?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is less to do with competition between states, but more to do with collaboration. Because as you understand, that everyone is kind of trying to find these answers. At one level, you have so much of potential in terms of the value that these concepts can unlock. At the other side, you have so much of mistrust with the whole discussion around crypto. So what is needed is, I think, a nuanced discussion. And when Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, the Principal Secretary IT, Telangana government, announced this, he also actually made it very explicit that it is not going to be a sandbox in silo, but they are going to work with RBI. They are also going to work with other regulatory bodies so that all the stakeholders can come on one platform. So I'm sure the other states will also kind of take a precedence from this and try to add some value in some form or the other as we go further.
Mr. Diwan, since we have you on the panel, I would like to, I would like you to introduce us to India Blockchain Forum as well. What is it? What is it going to do? And then we'll come back to Sandbox, of course.
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity. I think it started as an informal group of some of the key influence of blockchain, and the deliberations have been going on in terms of various concepts. The group is very rich in terms of the members, people from policy background, people from large services companies, technology companies, evangelists, community champions. So it's kind of a confluence of all kinds of segments of the ecosystem who participate in that. So at this point of time, then we realized that we should probably give it a formal structure. And that is where last Sunday at T-Hub, which is now world's largest innovation campus, India Blockchain Forum was formally launched. So that's a brief about India Blockchain Framework. And the idea is to create a collaborative framework so that a lot of issues that you are now asking in this show also can be addressed. And build, utilize this opportunity to build India as a powerhouse in blockchain Web 3.0.
Okay, coming back to Sandbox, since this regulatory sandbox was announced by the Telangana government, Manish, the question is for you. Do you think this is effective in preventing the brain drain as well, which we've been seeing in the past few months?
Yeah, that's a very loaded question here. So the sandbox is only one step in the way to enabling these things. So brain drain essentially is a pretty larger concept. It depends on how is your economy doing and how are job seekers also being rewarded. while the sandbox will principally address the bottlenecks that the startups in this space, are facing, and creates a enabling, ecosystem for them to, come forward. On a longer term, if we continue in this journey and if we really see collaboration between sandboxes, states, and regulators, etc., yes, the answer can be yes, given the other factors like tax and the economy, etc., going good. But on an immediate term, these are very specific objective sandboxes which achieve to help the ecosystem move forward, which has been confused and stagnant for quite some time.
Right. Pankaj, you wanted to make some point?
Yeah, I think I'd just like to add what my friend Manish said. I'm a little more optimistic because what we have today is a lot of ambiguity, and we don't have a platform where some dialogue can happen. So I look at sandbox kind of initiatives as an initiative in the right direction, where at least the stakeholders can come together and share each other's perspective and also each other's concerns. So I'm a little more optimistic.
So what is this specific regulatory sandbox going to do?
Right. So as you understand, sandbox is more like a test environment, right? Where you can experiment, where you can try out things, and where some regulatory restrictions can be relaxed for the sake of the experiment. So from that point of view, it's kind of a place where startups can experiment with their solutions, and regulators will have a chance to see it upfront, and then in the process, frameworks and best practices will evolve. So instead of just talking in the air, this is kind of a place where you can see things, have things, build things, and showcase things, build proof of concepts.
Okay, gentlemen, that's all the time that we had on this segment. Thank you so very much.